I am obsessed with this game. I'm obsessed with the way it makes me feel. I haven't been able to stop thinking about DMC5 since I started playing it over a month ago, and I think that's because I'm so gripped by its combat. There is no other character action game in recent memory that has kind of compelled me to feel this way, and I think DMC5 achieves what it sets out to do with its stylish action. This review is going to be a little more unscripted, more off the cuff, kind of raw scattershot kind of thing. I do have a bigger project coming up that I wanted to focus on, but I wanted to put out something a little smaller and more focused, so to speak, before then, and I just wanted to talk about DMC5's combat and the way it makes me feel, because holy shit, it does what it needs to do and then some. So first, let's talk about the combat as a whole. So from the very beginning, Devil May Cry's mission statement with its combat has always been style. It's always had a very tight focus on making sure that you are doing cool shit all the time to rack up what is called a style meter. The style meter has always started from D to triple S, and D being, okay, well, you're doing alright, but there's a lot you could be doing better, and triple S being, you are varying up all of your moves, you aren't getting hit, and you're doing the coolest shit imaginable and kicking ass. Now, I've always had trouble getting triple S's or even S ranks in the early Devil May Cry games. That's because I'm bad at them, but also because I think it was a lot more difficult to do that. I haven't really been one to pursue the fabled triple S rank. I usually am a one and done kind of guy, settling with S's most of the time. But DMC5 incentivizes you to be better at its gameplay using one really cool trick. And with that trick being its dynamic soundtrack. When you enter a battle, all of your actions are linked to the style meter, which is then linked to the dynamic soundtrack in this game. So when you start the battle, your character's theme song will start playing, but it's a lot more subdued, a little more quiet. And as your style meter goes up, it starts to get louder. You hear different versions of the song, and then once you're building up to A, it feels like you're trying not to let this balloon hit the ground as the music swells and swells and swells and builds up, and then, boom! You hit S, and then the chorus starts, and it's just this big fucking explosion of, yeah, I'm the shit. And it feels amazing, and it doesn't stop there. You go from double S to triple S, and then you just hear the rest of the song, and it's this loud, bombastic song. Devil Trigger, I've heard like a million times prior to playing the game, but I've recently enjoyed listening to it because I like to think about the style meter and how it sounds when everything comes together in like this really amazing organic way. And the music itself makes me feel better about how I'm doing, and it makes me want to do better and learn the mechanics and just keep getting better at Devil May Cry so I can keep re-feeling what I felt that first time I heard Devil Trigger's chorus with my S rank. And I think that's fucking magical. That's a really great way to incentivize players to get better at your game. So now that I've sung the core combat's praises enough, I wanted to start focusing on the characters themselves. So first, I want to talk about Nero. Nero himself was a character that I always really liked in DMC4, but it felt like he was missing something. And I don't want to go into that too much because that's out of the scope of this video, but the long and short of it is that I feel like he had a very one-dimensional playstyle and kind of lacked the variety that Dante had in 4. Because I felt like once you unlocked Dante, the game had kind of opened itself up to you in a way that wasn't possible with Nero. Now, everything that I had a problem with Nero in 4 was totally addressed in this game. They took the core of his kit, his Devil Bringer, and then they expanded it to where now he has so many options. You are spoiled for choice. Nero still has his Wire Snatch hook, but he has his Devil Breaker arms. You can burn one for a defensive option, or you can use them for a variety of different techniques. Like Gerbera can let you hop around the stage. Overture is just a big honking explosion. Tomboy powers up your fucking engine sword and gives you like a bullet arm thingy. And there's just so many different ways you can tackle combat now with Nero that he feels much more fleshed out and well-rounded compared to his Devil May Cry 4 counterpart, which I'm very pleased with because I love Nero. Now V, I think, is the most interesting character to play as, even if I didn't necessarily enjoy playing him as much as I did the other characters. This is because V is a puppet kind of character. He controls his little bird pal and his big panther boy in combat, which serve as your two primary attack buttons. And V himself can't actually directly harm the devils in this game. He can only finish them off with the help of his familiars. So your game plan generally is to soften them up first, then go in for the kill. This reminds me a lot of Raiden from Revengeance, where most of the time you're hacking and slashing, and then you're finishing them off with a Zandatsu. Now, I think that is very interesting compared to the other two characters that you unlock, or rather have access to, because V himself isn't styling around the battlefield. He's just kind of sitting there reading his book most of the time, building up DT, and getting ready to explode with like one big barrage of attacks. So he feels a lot more methodical, and I think that's a lot more interesting compared to the bombast that the other two characters bring. And lastly, I want to touch on Dante, who I think out of every character in this game has a limitless amount of depth. He has 4 combat styles, each with their own unique abilities that you're encouraged to swap in and out of in combat. And then he has an arsenal of weapons, like he always does, but they all have their own unique functions, combos. Like, Dante has so much depth. I can't even begin to fathom all the shit that you can do with Dante, and I think that's what they were going for. But Dante, I feel personally, is the most fun to play. He just has so much shit going on that I feel like, despite how much I've played this game, I've only scratched the surface of. And after having played this game, I've recognized that there is one dev on Hoyoverse who really likes Devil May Cry, specifically Virgil, because there's a lot that Genshin borrows from Devil May Cry. And speaking of Virgil, I do want to cover him by himself at some point because he blew me away with his gameplay, but the only thing I will really say is that getting the S rank with Bury the Light is the most insane feeling. And with that, that's gonna do it. I did just want to do like a very quick covering of Devil May Cry 5's combat. I love it very intensely. I find myself just booting up the game and playing it just so I can fiddle around with combos or just try and get a better rank in some missions. And I really do think it pushes the envelope for what character action could and should be. So I'm looking forward to whatever they're doing after this. It did seem like they were teasing a new project. And I'm also looking forward to the future of character action, because it seems like nowadays all character action games just kind of look over each other's notes and kind of compare and get better. And that's so exciting. But again, that's going to do it, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later.